for a little while, just a little while. Need to give that senior citizen a little break, but we're back at it. The flagship show, 7 p.m. Eastern. Josh Tobat, principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland, ISD, Garland, USA. Ready to rock and roll with the flagship show where we bring in speakers, authors, motivational individuals that unroll their tool set and we sharpen ours, taking those nuggets, taking that knowledge so we could prepare for our kiddos that come in tomorrow on Monday. So we're ready to learn from you. You're part of this conversation. So if you're watching this on the rebroadcast, it's crucial that you like it and you share it and make comments so that we can learn from you, Idaho, you, Iowa, you, Oregon. We need you part of this conversation because we're all in it together, and iron sharpens iron. So if you're in Hawaii, if you are in Alaska, if you're in Maine or in Florida, anywhere in the 48 middle, we need you part of this conversation. Take it away, Dean Packard.
Yeah, I don't think you missed a single state there, Josh. Great to see you, my friend. Hope you had a great week. We had a little time off since our last episode, but we are back in the saddle tonight doing what we do best and recognizing greatness in the world of education. And we definitely will not disappoint tonight. My name is Dean Packard, one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle, and just super excited when Sunday night comes around because it just makes me a little bit better. Even after my short, young career of 31 years in education, I'm still learning, man. I'm still a greenhorn, as what Martin Silverman once says, right? Didn't he let us know that? You got to go over north of 40 before you can actually start talking about being a veteran in this business. So it's great to see you, Josh. And how have you been? Everything good?
Awesome here. You know what? It's almost that time. Had Thanksgiving pass by, getting Christmas, the second quarter, second report card grades, making sure our kids establish that GPA. But that's based by everybody in secondary and elementary. This is for me, the fun time when I was in elementary. You know that. The Christmas shows and the Christmas carols and everyone dressing up, the elves everywhere, the elf on the tree, on the mailbox, whatever it is. But you know what? It's about that community, the awesome community that are schools. And we need to remember to always highlight and promote kids. And that's what our great guest is going to talk about. Because you know what? Some of our kids come with that extra baggage in that backpack. And it's crucial that all of us as educators, we highlight it and we make it a beautiful thing. Just like this guy right here. That guy, check out his social media. He's doing TikTok dances. He's doing some like silly stuff. But you know what? Role modeling the expectations is crucial, from the main chair that goes on to the body politic, which is the campus. And our kids need to feel warm and fuzzy with that beautiful Linus blanket across them. And this guest today, he will talk to us about how to create a great community for our kids.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's all about connections. We're not going to disappoint tonight. Let's bring in Dr. Edwin Garcia Jr. Dr. Garcia, how are you, man? Thanks for joining us tonight. How are things?
Hello, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys lending your platform to this topic that I'm very passionate about. So passionate that I wrote a book about it. And I appreciate you guys always sharing your knowledge and your platform for, forwarding our education system, something that our country desperately needs to continue to do.
Yeah, well, you got it. And you're one of those people tonight because you know what you do is super important, not only for your community, but also from around the country as we stop and look at this. I'll tell you what, Edwin, why don't you take a second here and just tell the story, your story, your origins, how you got to where you are today, sitting now as an assistant principal, and talk about that journey a little bit and give a little background about yourself.
All right. So I was born in the city of Passaic. Both my parents were teen parents. My mom was 15 and my dad was 16 at the time that I was in my mom's belly. Shortly after, they both ended up dropping out of high school, so they didn't get to finish school themselves. Being young teen parents, they did what they could, but ultimately my parents were separated. So I grew up in a single mom household for the most part. It wasn't until I was a little bit older that my dad was able to, I guess, contribute a little bit more. And nothing that I blame him for, like I said, they were teens, right? And so in the city of Passaic is where I grew up, and that's actually where I'm an assistant principal at right now. I remember growing up, the people who impacted me the most and the people who helped my mom that was difficult during the difficult time was my teachers. As a matter of fact, my first and second grade teacher, Miss Kistner, my mom was in a hospital at one time and she stayed with us so that way, she could take care of her business. And to this day, I'm still in touch with Miss Kistner. And I've had a lot of other educators who have impacted me along the way, whether they've actually been in the education field as teachers or if they've been educators in other aspects, whether they were camp counselors or coordinators of after school programs and all those other kinds of things. Because to me, educators are not just the ones in the classrooms, but all those involved in, bringing up our children and teaching them how to be contributing members of society. So it wasn't the easiest thing growing up, and that's why I decided to write the book that I did. I'm actually an assistant principal in the town that I grew up. So I'm an assistant principal in Passaic. I'm at the assistant principal at the high school that I graduated from back in 2001. So it's great to be back and be able to contribute. I originally didn't get into education. As a matter of fact, right after high school, I was a college dropout for about 10 years. I didn't go to school. I started it because I did want to be a teacher at the time, but you're a teenager, you're learning things. At the time, I started working at Blockbuster, and I remember getting promoted pretty quickly and making decent money. And I'm like, why do I want to go to college to be a teacher? Because teachers, not that they get paid any more now, but they didn't get paid well back then either. So, me being a smart guy, I decided not to go into it. So 10 years later, after many other industries and jobs, I had a couple phone calls from local educators who was like, come talk to our students. So I was like, oh, sounds good. I'll go talk to them, let them know my story, give them some advice. And then as I'm sitting there talking to them, it's like, you guys are me. You guys don't know what's going on as far as what college offerings there is. Even if you had an inkling to go to college, you didn't really know how to pay for college. So all those kinds of things led me back into education. And at the time, I was a tech manager for a laboratory company, and I had just finished my bachelor's degree because I had my first son, so I went back to school. So I went back and I applied, and I became a computer science teacher in middle school.
Nice.
And that's where I started in education, and that led me up to where I'm at now, finishing up halfway through my third year as an assistant principal at the high school where I graduated from.
I know exactly how you feel. I'm back at where I graduated from as well as a principal, so I love that, and I'm glad you went full circle like that. And if you would have dropped Montgomery Ward where you were buying pants, you would have had Josh fall out of his chair for crying out loud. I saw it coming right there. Go ahead, JT, take it away.
I think it's crucial that you shared that because a lot of us don't talk to our kids about our adversity. What was in the past does not define our future. Thanks, Doc. It's very important that our kids see that. Just like you, I was an idiot in high school. I graduated the bottom in high school. I was the worst of the worst. And you know what? I need to connect with those kids because there's more of them than the MIT kids. There are more of them than the Baylor kids. And we need to be able to find that hook to get them in there. So let's find that hook a little bit more with you, Doc. How are you as a student in high school? How are you that kind of academic or not, whatever it might be? Not only that, but how, as you talked about your beautiful mama and the adversity she went through, how did her support help you even today in the position that you're in?
So interestingly enough, up until elementary school, I was a really good student. And sixth grade, I ended up finishing. I had straight A's all sixth grade, every single marking quarter up until the end. I got into middle school, and that when things got a little bit more difficult for me. As I mentioned, my mom didn't finish school. My parents didn't finish school. So the level of education that they had, not that they weren't smart in their own right, but like formal education, to assist me in some of the more difficult topics, it wasn't the easiest thing. And then middle school was not nice to me, essentially. So I went through bullying, serious bullying, where I academically got bad, and went to got D's and F's for the first time, 7th and 8th grade. And then in high school was a little bit of a turnaround for me, actually. I found myself joining the marching band and ROTC. And there I found kids like me, kids that were similar to me who, and we kind of like helped each other and we supported each other. We had excellent, and it wasn't that I didn't have excellent teachers up until then, but I had teachers who went beyond just the classroom around that time and made sure that they took care of me, talked to me, mentored me. So my turnaround was a little bit better in high school. I wasn't an A student, so I wasn't like at the top of the pack, but I did learn a lot of my leadership skills in high school, I would say. Um, Being able to deal with that, finding a lot of like-minded students who were also developing their leadership, and together we supported each other. We got through our own individual adversities, and you keep pushing, right? It just keeps making you stronger. You grow from it. You struggle, but you keep pushing, and that's what it's all about. And that's what I try to instill in my students, that life is going to get difficult. It doesn't get easier. It gets harder. It really does. I tell them the decisions you make today in school is going to determine how hard it gets. That's what it's all about. So you make hard decisions now, and later on it's going to get harder, but it won't get as hard as if you made the wrong decision now.
I love that you do that, because you're telling kids the truth. That's the reality of the world right there. And, everything that you're saying just makes me smile, because I'll tell you what, that's what we do every single day in leadership. So you're setting that foundation for success for the kids around you by that as well. So I know you touched upon this earlier, but circle back for a second and just pick out somebody that really inspired you throughout your career, and who really currently motivates you the most right now.
So I mean, growing up, there was a lot of people. I would say, believe it or not, and it's not that it's a hard thing. It's just not something that people say a lot. Most of the people who influenced me growing up were a lot of the women in my life. Whether it was my mom, who showed strong leadership and fighting through adversities, or some of the camp directors who were also, because I lived in a projects per se. It was a housing complex for low-income people who needed assistance, housing assistance. So a lot of those programs were ran by the fellow moms or residents, and a lot of those people, like Miss Evelyn Robinson or Miss Renee Griggs, those kind of people who ran those summer and after-school programs helped me. And then in education, a lot of my teachers, I would say, like Miss Cawthorn, who currently works in the district that I am in right now. She's actually a math teacher, and so I oversee math. So it's a little odd, because she was my math teacher at one time, and now I oversee the department she's in. But like, she held me accountable. I'll tell you a quick story, if you don't mind, of a time where, because I wasn't doing well in her class, because I was one of those students who I would do good on the test, but I didn't like to do the homework, and I didn't like to show the work. That was me. So there was one time where my mom came, and she's at the back to school night, and she's like, "Why is it that I'm just finding out that my son is doing poorly? Why does he have a D?" So my Miss Cawthorn tells my mom, "Well, I sent letters home." My mom's like, "Letters? I never got any letters." And Miss Cawthorn goes, "Well, you signed one." My mom's like, "Oh, I didn't sign one." So it so happened, I was a teenager. I wasn't smart. I didn't, well, I was kind of smart, but making dumb choices, right? So my mom came the next time with a stack of envelopes. I'll never forget, self-addressed and stamped, and she gave it to Miss Calder. And she said, "If you ever have issues and you need to send a letter home, put it in this envelope and send it home." So so Ms. Cawthorn held me accountable. A lot of my teachers held me accountable, and they didn't, even though they were empathetic towards me and my situation. They didn't stop me. They didn't bring down that bar, right? They held me to those high standards, and didn't give up on me. I think that was the most important part. They didn't give up on me.
Love that.
That deserves a Ric Flair from Mama. Woo! Hey, parents in Wisconsin, did you hear that? Get a bunch of envelopes, go buy stamps before they go up to like $10 per stamp, and give it to the teachers. You can't go wrong. I love it. Es todo, mama. Es todo, mama. I love that. That's original. That's OG right there. Hey, brother, real quick. You know what? Third year as an AP, Third year, you're finally kind of getting settled in, just to the groove, the routines of dealing with textbooks, discipline, buses, pedagogy, whatever it is. So, two questions. How did you find time to write a book? Number one, but most importantly, what inspired you to take away, because you got to take away from somebody to write a book on the clock. So, what inspired you to make sure that you put pen to paper and promote those visions that you have in your brain?
So, funny enough, I decided to write the book after I was not I was I applied for a principalship and I was not even getting given a chance to interview. And it kind of hurt me. So I was looking for something to focus myself in, because I knew the kind of work that I could do. I knew the caliber of work that I could do. And I just wanted to put things to paper. And, I didn't go into education to be an administrator. I just wanted to be a teacher and I want to be a good teacher. And another teacher told me that I would make a good administrator, that I have a lot to offer, that I could benefit the kids more, that if I shared what I do in my classroom with other teachers and help them, that I could, get that, I could have a higher reach, right? A bigger umbrella. So when I reflected on it, because I'm a very reflective person, it's something that, since the pandemic, I grew a lot in, especially watching Principal Kofele every Saturday, and reading his books. He's got a lot of reflection. He asks you questions all the time to reflect. So I've grown in reflection, and in that time, I was like, how do I reach more people? And it was like, write a book. I just finished my doctorate the year before. So I just finished writing almost 200 pages. So I'm like, let's write some more, right? And the funny thing is, I didn't finish reading my first book till maybe about 26 years old. I was not a writer. I was good at math. I was good at science and I was good at math. It was, in college, certain teachers that said, you're a good writer. You should be a good writer. And then when I was doing my master's in leadership, I had a professor named Dr. Riva. She kind of helped me with writing action research and organizing myself. And she did that by telling me, the best thing for you to do is put together an outline and then put stuff in there. So that's how I started. I put together an outline, and as I was doing my doctorate work, I already was, when I came across an interesting article or a book that I wanted to revisit, I kind of categorized that into different sections. Even videos or speakers, when I was watching certain podcasts, like when I saw a couple of your podcasts or Principal Kafele's podcasts, some important people, and I started writing stuff down, writing my thoughts and gathering, and then it just started formulating. And you say, when I took the time for myself, because my time is when everybody else in my house is asleep. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm the first one awake. That's every day, and that's usually my me time. And I kind of sacrificed that time to get out my message, to get out the message that I thought that was important. Because I often get asked, what do you want to tell a new teacher? And my thing was, be the teacher that you needed when you was a kid. I say that often, and I don't mean the specific needs that you have, but take the time to understand the needs of the students, just like you wish somebody did for you, and go from there. So I took that time and I wrote down and I write down, and then next thing you know, I got 50 pages. Then I was like, I asked a couple of my colleagues, you want to read what I got so far? Give me some feedback. And they gave me some feedback, and I kept adding to that and finding stuff. And lo and behold, I had a book.
Just like that, huh? Just like that.
It just happened. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't an easy thing to do. I'm not going to say that it was easy, but you got to challenge yourself and you got to set yourself some time. I said to myself, if I do 10 pages a week, if I do 10 pages a week, in 10 weeks, I'd have 100 pages. And you keep doing that and you build up. And maybe you don't hit 10 pages that week, but you keep going towards that goal anyway. And then those 2 pages that maybe you didn't write this week, because maybe you only wrote 8, you try to write 12 the following week. Or if you don't get to it, it's fine. Just as long as you're committing to continuing to write and to grow, and eventually you'll get to where you want.
I love the commitment to the journey. That's what it comes down to. And great job with that. And congratulations. Let's talk about something I think is important to you, and that's the instant gratification syndrome. And, we live in a world that kids need it now, and they can't, there's minimal resiliency and minimal grit embedded within individuals. And not only kids, I'm talking about people in general. I think it's happened to a lot of us. And unfortunately, and how do you think, though, that instant gratification is affecting schools?
So, that's something that the minute I got into education, I started seeing develop. I've been in education now almost 10 years. I was a computer science teacher at first. So one of the things, I didn't just go and teach the kids programming. I wanted to teach them technology and technology use. So I brought in a lot of that extra stuff. So I started studying a lot of that stuff. And then I remember through one of my master's degrees, reading about motivation theory and all those things, right? And then as I'm going through my years in the classroom, I'm observing my students and I'm observing myself grow, right? And I have my own kids and observing them, or my brothers and sisters. I have an 18-year-old. Well, he's going to be 18-year-old brother this month. So I get to see teenagers grow, and and we live in a world where the minute you put up videos, somebody's giving you some type of feedback, whether it's a like, a comment, right? And that's the world that our kids are living in. And if you do research, you'll find that there's like chemical reactions in that. So, and it makes it difficult for us in classrooms and in schools, because they can have hundreds of people like and comment on their stuff within a couple seconds. And it can be difficult. And that's why I try to tell the teachers how can we harness that in the classroom, right? How can we harness that instant gratification? And it's about making sure that we're giving feedback to the students, that we're praising their efforts, right? Because for a little while, there was one particular admin who at one time told me, not me in particular, but a group of us, don't praise the students, because once you praise them, everything else afterwards is kind of like loss. But then I realized it's not about not praising the students, it's about praising the effort. If you praise the effort, if you are giving them feedback, if you're telling them, if you're making that connection with them, because that's what the kids want, right? They're looking for connections. As humans, we're naturally looking for connections, and that's what social media does. It gives us this big platform to make connections with people. And oftentimes, things like behavior issues come from not somebody looking for attention, but somebody looking to make those connections with somebody. So it's about us harnessing that, because the kids can get lost in that. So what can we do in the classroom, and how can we do it effectively? We're not going to get rid of the technology. We're not going to get rid of social media. We got to learn to embrace it. And we got to use it for our benefit.
Just like AI, it's not going away. Figure it out. Make it part of you. Make it help the kids become better.
Yep. I mean, you can learn a lot from games, right? If you look at games, the most popular games allow you to make a little bit of progression, and they give you feedback throughout, right? Whether it's coins or little cheers and stuff like that. If you're allowing them to make progression, they're going to keep trying. If you make it too difficult, you're going to cut them off, right? So I think I've learned a lot of lessons from video games. You don't want to make it too easy. You don't want to make it too hard. You want to challenge them to the limit. And when they need that little bit of help, give them that power up to make it to the next thing. And you'll get them coming in. You'll keep getting them to want to learn what you're teaching and want to be part of what you have to, what you're trying to build in your classroom.
Love it. Great stuff.
Hey, Doc, I want you to talk to that first year teacher just got hired last week in New Mexico. And I want you to talk to that 20-year veteran that is tapping out already. Why is empathy and connecting with kids such a crucial part to making sure that they absorb the beauty that is our profession, the best profession in the world, the one that creates all the other professions?
So, for me, I'm a big relationship builder. I love building relationships with people. I think about those people who influence me, the people who I remember the most. Those are people who I have had some sort of relationship with. Um, when you think about building those connections, I guess the best way to equate it is, right. If you think about your favorite song, or your favorite food, or your favorite movie, a lot of those things, what they have in common is the way they make you feel, right? When I think about the teachers that I had in the past, the ones that I remember the most, I made some sort of connection with them, some sort of feeling with them, whether it was negative or positive, right? And those are the ones that I remember, right? So the ones that I had the most positive ones are the ones that I feel that I learned the most from, right? So when I'm looking at why empathy is important, um, if you're going to build the connections with people, you have to be empathetic. We as humans are naturally sympathetic towards situations, right? Somebody's family member dies, the first thing we say is, "I'm sorry for your loss," right? Why are you sorry? You're not the one who did it. It's okay. And Brene Brown, which is one of the people that I like to read a lot and listen to, she says it best, right? Sometimes it's okay to just say, "That sucks. I'm here for you, and I'll be here for you, and I will push you." It's the same when it comes to our students. They're going through situations, and that's one of the biggest portions of my book is about, right? They're carrying things, and we can't fix all the things that they have in a backpack. As a matter of fact, a lot of them we can't even touch, right? So how do we help them get through it? By not adding to it, right? By um, giving them a hand. I tell my students all the time, I can clap for you, I can hold your hand, I can stand behind you, I can stand next to you, but I can't do it for you. So I'm going to be sympathetic towards your situation. I'm not going to make excuses for you, because the minute the people think the kids want somebody to feel sorry for them, and the kids want somebody to make excuses for them. That's not what they want. They want somebody to connect with them. They want somebody who's going to support them as they grow through their adversities. So being empathetic is much more uh, it's stronger than being sympathetic. um, SEL, we do a lot of SEL, and we were just having this discussion in school recently. We do a lot of SEL learning, and we teach the students to uh, deal with their emotions and those kind of things, but we don't teach them to support others. And that's one of the things we're trying to shift to too, because I think when we work together, if we want to build a community of learners, and that's us working together, building those relationships between teachers and students and students. That's all part of, you have to have empathy to understand what's going on, to make those connections. It's that simple. I can't simplify it any more than that. There's a whole chapter in my book about it. I could have probably wrote more about it, and I could probably talk more about it. But I encourage everybody to be a little bit more empathetic. Not Don't be Mr. Fix It. Be Mr. Supportive.
Mr. Misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding, yes.
Yeah, no, that's words well spoken right there. I'm going to take a different track now with my question. And assessment's always a mountain in any school district and from any teacher level. But then when you start looking at district grading policies and what that looks like, what is your philosophy on district grading systems, and why are they important to be equitable when we start looking through a lens?
Yeah, so if we look at many districts across the United States still have the 0 to 100 grading system for a lot of their assignments, their projects. Even if they do it out of 200 points, it still equates to like a percentage, right? And unfortunately, that doesn't always gives us the best picture, right? Think about it. If a student gets a 0 on assignment, for instance, because they didn't do it, what is that actually telling us about their progress towards academic success? It's not telling us anything. All it tells us is the student didn't do it. But we put those zeros in the grade books, and then it can take a student up to 15 Bs to get that 0 back up to a B. 15 Bs to get back to that for that 1 0. And it goes back to the whole empathy and understanding the adversities that our students are going through. You don't know why they got that 0. You don't know why they missed that assignment. I'm not saying excuse every missed assignment. I'm not saying don't hold them accountable. But we need to give them the opportunity to feel like that they can do it, right? Because when you're in a hole, if you're looking at your grade book as a student, we have Power School in my school, my district. If I look at my grade book and I got a 0 and I messed up, right? And for whatever reason, I can't make it up. Maybe I went past the time. Now I'm trying to bring those grades back up, and this 0 just it has me failing no matter what I do. I kind of lose my motivation, especially as a student who's going through adversities. A student who maybe he didn't do so well in the first marking quarter, and now he's trying to pick himself back up. And how does he catch up if he has a 0 or a 14, right? How do we give him that chance or her that chance, right? I have always been, in my grade book, always reflected the level of learning that the student did, the level of mastery that they did toward the standard, right? So if my student, for whatever reason, was doing poorly in grades, but they were showing me a level of mastery, I gave them other opportunities to bring that grade up, right? I feel one of the more equitable grading is like using rubrics, a 0 to 4 scale, where you still have the 0, but it gives them a better chance to bring up that score, even 0 to 5. And there's a book called Grading for Equity by Feldman. I have it back here. That's one of the books that I read that kind of like he goes into it a lot. And there was a tons of videos that led me to this, and it just makes sense, right? You want to give kids the chance. We're not here to fail the kids. We want them to learn. We want them to feel motivated. And if you talk about living in a world of instant gratification, you're going to lose that battle if the student doesn't feel like that they can achieve because that 1 or 2 zeros holding them back.
Good points.
And that leads into this next one, which is so true. Once you flunked out a kid and he tapped out, guess what happens for the rest of that semester? A discipline issue.
Mm-hmm.
He or she's going to get even with you. Hey, educator over there in North Dakota, if you didn't know that, please learn that. Because once you tap out a kid, they're going to use everything in their fake power, like you did with your fake power with grades, to overtake that classroom. So let's talk about the universal idea. What are your thoughts on campus discipline?
So discipline is an important aspect of education. I'm not going to diminish its importance in education. However, it does not. It should not be the most important, right? It's an important part, but it shouldn't be the most important. Additionally, discipline should not be affecting the students in a way that they're falling far behind, because that's what typically happens, right? A student gets suspended, and now they're behind in class, and then they're trying to catch up, and because they miss 4 days of class for maybe not wearing uniform. That's not something we do in our district, because we don't suspend 4 days for not wearing uniform. But I've seen plenty of districts that do stuff like that. I've seen places where a student gets suspended for 2 days of ISS for cell phone, right? Like, we have to make sure that the discipline that we're putting together are fitting exactly what the consequence fits what happened. But it's not just that. We need to take a minute to take a step back and look at what the underlying issue is, right? Because why did the kid get in trouble? What was it that happened? Was there a misunderstanding? So many times have I had a student come to my office who was sent out of class, and the first thing I say to them is, how are you today? Right? And a lot of the times you'll be surprised. They're like, I'm not having a good day. I said, when did that bad day start? Before I got to school. Did you talk to your teacher about it? No. Did your teacher ask about it? No. You know what would have saved us a lot of headache? If you guys would have had that conversation and you said to your teacher, hey, Miss So and so, I just want to let you know I'm having a bad day today. I'm still working and growing on myself. I'm going to try my best to keep that out of here, but it may creep in or it may interfere. And I want you to know that I'm not trying to take it personally, so I'm going to apologize. I'm not saying that it's an excuse, but please forgive me, right? Or something like that. And it's the same for the teacher as an adult. Like, I used to always check on my students. My attendance was not, I call your name and present. And I used to say their names because, one, I wanted to learn their names, right? So I wanted to make sure, and I wanted to make sure that they had an identity in my class, and your name is part of your identity. So I always called attendance. However, I always gave them a question to answer as part of our relationship building and me getting to know them and them getting to know each other, right? Like, so today's questions would be like, what is your favorite food, right? Or how are you feeling today? You can't use a word that somebody else did. And you start building those relationships and you start hearing the kids say, I'm okay. But you know that Charlie for 5 days in a row has been saying he's great and all of a sudden he's okay. So what has changed, right? And so that gives you that opportunity to go talk to them. If you're not standing at the door talking to your kids and greeting them as they come in, it makes it difficult for you to build a connection for them to feel comfortable enough to share with you. And I know some educators are a little scared because some of the stories that our kids carry are heavy, and it takes a lot of toll on you, and you don't want to hear that bad story, but they need us to hear that bad story. And maybe you don't feel equipped to take care of that, but you're an adult and they're a kid. If you're not equipped to take care of that, they're not equipped to handle it. So what kind of resources can we as a school offer them to maybe not fix the situation, but to support them as they go through the situation, right? As they deal with whatever it is that they're dealing with at home or with their boyfriend or girlfriend, right? Because they're teenagers, so they have those boyfriend and girlfriend problems too. And then sometimes I think as adults we kind of diminish the problems that kids have because they're kids, and not realizing that to them that problem is important. Just like when you were a kid, your problems were important to you. So that's all important aspects that we had to do. Just have those conversations with the kids. So that we can avoid those discipline problems. I spent so much time in the beginning of my class in the beginning of the year developing those relationships. And I was when I taught middle school, I had them every marking quarter. So every 10 weeks, I had a new set of kids. So I had to build those relationships quick. But I made sure that I took the time to build those relationships with them so that way I didn't have those discipline problems later on. Because that time that I'm investing now saved me so much time later on. I was one of those where I read online somewhere, don't smile till October. So that's what I did. And I quickly learned that doesn't work. Ooh. Right? So I learned that building relationship, even though, I will be a week or two behind in the beginning, but I will catch up because now I'm not going to have to deal with those other issues later on.
Good stuff right there. Listen, here's a simple question for you. Well, I don't know if it's simple or not, but explain to the audience about getting into the arena. What is that? What does that mean?
So getting into arena means not just standing on the outside and looking in and seeing who's fighting the battles or what's going to happen next or who's going to fix it or what the next big problem is or what the next big solution is. Getting into the arena is about you jumping in and being ready to fight. Getting ready to be get bruised a little bit, right? Like the old gladiators of the past. That's how we're gonna fix the problems that we have in education. I'm not saying go in there and pick every fight with the biggest guys in the arena, but somebody has to be courageous enough to jump into the arena if we're gonna make the changes that we need for our students. Right? Somebody has to be willing to uh, go in the middle where everybody else is standing and yell out loud, "This is a problem. How do we fix it?" Right? We need people to be more courageous. We need people to be vulnerable and jump in there and start fighting that battles and tag teaming, right? If Josh is ready to jump in to fight a battle, why can't I jump in with him and let's fight together, right? Bring your people with you. Don't mean you have to fight alone, but it means being ready to get in there and fight what's right. And if we're gonna move that needle towards equitable education, to fight for what our kids need, to get to the place where um, some of these things are no longer issues. We have to be ready to go in there, whether we have a suit of armor or not.
I love it. Yeah, perfectly said.
And you know what, Doc? That's what are your closing thoughts right now? Because you know what, Sunday, it's what time is it over there? 8 o'clock, gonna be 8 o'clock over there.
7:41.
People are ready.
Yeah.
People are about to rock and roll tomorrow. Hey, whether you're ready or not, America, the kids are coming Monday morning.
They're coming.
Don't matter if you're ready, they are. So talk to us. Hey, Doc, some closing thoughts and some words for those educators starting tomorrow morning.
So I mean, we're we're in a time where our students need us the most. They don't need us less. They need us most. And I encourage you guys to take some time to reflect on yourself, right? Reflect on your own personal biases, reflect on the situations that your students are going through, um, reflect on what you have done to positively contribute or negatively contribute to their situation. Uh, don't be scared to say, I made a mistake, I need to fix it. Don't be scared to jump in there and fight for the kids. Don't be scared to grow as a person, as an individual. Read, research, talk to your kids, do whatever it takes. Right? Um, we need to move education forward. There's a lot of great people. You see two on the screen with me who are doing the good work. So jump in, join us, join into the fight. Check out my book. I'm writing some more, but check this one out. And
Show it. Show it.
Yeah.
Show it, bro.
be ready to fight. Get in here. I wrote this for my students, not for myself. I wrote this so that way people can see some of the stories. So in the beginning of each chapter, there's actually a story. I've changed the names, but it's a true story of either a student or people that I went to school with. There's even a story of myself in there. And in the back, there's actually a bunch of stories of different people who went through different adversities. And understand that I'm not trying to make excuses for kids. This is not about making excuses. This is about um, doing what we can to support them through those adversities and support them through the growth. Because when we support them and they're able to get better, they're able to grow, and they're able to succeed, we all succeed.
You are so right. And it's about getting that armor on, fighting. Awesome job, Doc. Hey, reach out, get that book, order it there on Amazon, highlight it, tweet out, connect with everybody, just like he said. Because if you're not on social media, you still rent your movies at Blockbuster, buy your pants at Montgomery Ward. So put down the beta tape and follow the X. Stop calling it Twitter. He doesn't want us to call it Twitter anymore. It's X. But you know what? It's not over, Dean Packard. It is not over. Tomorrow, your show, the Office Hours show, 20-minute problem-solving show. What would you do? All season 1 and now season 2 are all real events that have happened on a campus. And I ask you, America, what would you do? And you only got 20 minutes to fix it. What do you think about that, Dean?
I'll tell you what, Josh, I look forward to that every time we do it because you never know what Josh Towell is going to come up with. So a lot of fun. Hey, Dr. Edwin Garcia Jr., thank you so much for joining us tonight. Your passion is just shining through with everything that you're saying. But more importantly, your dedication to what you believe in to help kids be the best they can be shines even brighter, man. To me, that's what it's all about because every connection means another world of difference for somebody else. So thank you so much, man. Any last 5 seconds, 10 seconds. What do you want to tell those people out there?
Actually, come visit office hours. I was on it a couple weeks ago. It was very fun. And connect with me. If you want to just talk, if you want to chat it out, if you want a thought partner, feel free to reach out to me. And let's move forward to education.
There it is right there, man. Another shining star, another Sunday night in the books. Everybody out there, make sure you put your kids first in your classrooms because they deserve the best versions of us. Have a great week, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us tonight.